Hello, Star Citizens. Buzzkiller here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I know it's been a long time since I've done a ship video, but I have something special here today, and I just wanted to share it with you. So, in front of me, I have 3 Hornets. The Hornet, of course, being the Navy's premier dogfighter for the UEE. Now, on the right, I have the old F7C Super Hornet, Mark 1. On the left, I have the F7A Mark 2, which was just released rather recently with 323. But in the center, I have something very different. This is the F7A Mark 1. And until today, this ship was not flyable by backers. So, a little bit of history. Back in 2013, on Veterans Day, CIG released a $25 upgrade for the F7C that would convert it into an F7A. And this is the only time they sold this package. So this has been in my hangar for a very, very long time. But basically, what they've done is instead of making this an upgrade, they've just given us a free ship. So this is also not only the rarest ship in my fleet, it's also the least expensive. Because this ship cost me $25. Which is kind of cool. Of course, I had to wait, 11 years for it, but hey, you got to pay with time or money. I guess I just had to pay with time this time. Sometimes both, a Star Citizen, but you never know. But I'm going to take a look at the 3 different ships and just show you the differences between them. We're going to start off over here on the right with the old school Super Hornet, the F7CM. Now this ship has, for weaponry, it has 2 size 1s on a nose turret, 2 size 2 on the ball, and 2 size 3s on the wings. It also has a complement of missiles. I believe it's 8 size 1s, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check it here in just a second. But for a long time, this was the top dog. This was the best Hornet you could buy or fly in Star Citizen. Now getting into the cockpit, you can see it's kind of dated. It's a little cramped. My knees are kind of close to those consoles. It's got some extra weird stuff like the display on top of the joystick, that fake radar behind it. But one thing it has is it has 6 MFDs. So you've got 2 MFDs up top, one on the left, one on the right, and then you have your annunciator display, which shows your missile lock, shield warnings, and all your warning lights. On the left and right, we have 2 fold-out MFDs that have 2 sections, so you've got a total of 6 MFDs, which is kind of nice, and something that CIG seems to be going away from. For the rest of the cockpit, it is, as I said, kind of dated. If you look down, I've got this old-school white and black seat with very simple textures and a white ejection handle. But yeah, that's pretty much the standard F7C Mark 1 cockpit. Let's go take a look at the F7A Mark 2. Now, the F7A Mark 2 was just released in 323. It's the reward you get. You get an upgrade from the F7C Mark II to the F7A Mark II by completing the Xenothreat Precursor events. What did I just do? Okay. Still getting used to the new interaction system in Star Citizen. Okay, now in this cockpit, you see it's a little bit more updated, a little more streamlined. You only have 2 MFDs, however. So you've got a left and a right MFD, and your idiot lights, or your annunciator displays, are on top of the 2 displays. You also have a nice, comfy leather seat, and you really can't tell, but there's a little red ejection handle there underneath the joystick. But yeah, that is the F7A Mark II. Now this ship has 4 size 3s, 2 on the nose, 2 on the ball turret, and 2 size 4s on the wing. So it's a much more potent ship in the form of DPS because of the much larger weapons than the standard F7C. So that brings us to the F7A Mark I, which is the predecessor to the F7A Mark II, but was just released today during the Anvil Invictus event. So this ship has two size 2s on the nose, two size 3s on the turret, and two size 4s on the wingtips. So it's kind of a halfway between the Super Hornet and the F7A Mark II. Again, the F7 Super Hornet here, sorry, the acronyms get me a little bit. Two size 1s, two size 2s, two size 3s. This has two size 2s, two size 3s, two size 4s, and then the Mark II has four size 3s and two size 4s. So let's go ahead and jump. Well, before we jump into the cockpit, let's just take a look around the ship. I'm going to show you some of the exterior differences between the F7C line, Mark I line, and the F7A Mark I. So first off, we have the headlights here in the nose grid, in the nose grill. That replaces the wing headlights, which were still here, but they do not operate. But they're on the Super Hornet here. These light up, and when it goes into this landing configuration, the lights go from in front of you to the side, so you can't really see what's in front of you when you have your landing gear down. This alleviates that issue by placing your two headlights up front. Also notice, compared to the F7C series, it has a much bigger intake with some slightly different intake slats. Unfortunately, I'm starting to lose my light here, so it's getting harder to see. Another difference between the F7C and F7A Mark I's, you'll notice the wing landing gear door opens to the rear, and see how it clicks into the countermeasure launcher here. That's a long-standing issue that has been addressed in the F7A Mark I. So they've got the doors where they open to the front instead of the rear, and you have no clipping issues. You also have some slightly updated countermeasure launchers. So yes, just slight minor differences between the F7A and the F7C for the Mark I's. Of course, the F7A Mark II is a totally different beast. It's a completely reworked design, landing gear in the body, so you don't have that issue with them clipping. Its countermeasures are up top. You kind of see them up there next to the engine. And then its headlights are actually on the top of the saucer up here, just below your maneuvering thruster. So let's jump into the cockpit of the F7A Mark I. And note it has the black leather seat and the red ejection handle from the Mark II. But otherwise, the cockpit is fairly similar to the Mark I. The main difference being, instead of 6 displays, you only have 2 displays, and your annunciator panel is no longer in the center. It's also on the top of the MFDs, just like in the Mark II. So it's a bit of a hybrid, which is pretty cool. Let's go to an external view and kind of do a little fly around. And I'll get the ship up and get it into the light here. There we go. Now another difference between the F7C Mark I and the F7A Mark I is the winglets and the animation in the landing gear. So if I raise the landing gear, notice that the wings fold out just like on the F7C, but the winglets also fold out, which the F7C does not do. I believe the F7A Mark II has folding winglets as well. So just minor changes and updates. Now performance-wise, the ship is very similar to the F7A Mark II. It pulls almost the exact same amount of G's in all directions, except for the current patch, the F7A Mark II has a bugged yaw. It can pull up to like 25 G's with afterburner in the yaw axis, which is not intended because its forward velocity isn't even that that powerful, but the speeds are the same between the two, maybe a couple of meters per second difference, but not much. This ship also has slightly more hit points than the F7A Mark II, but of course it pays for that in a slightly smaller weapon loadout. There we go. There's a nice view of the top. Now the default loadout is kind of lacking, I believe. It comes with four repeaters on the turrets and 2 ballistic Gatlings. Now the problem with this is these 84B ballistic Gatlings that it comes with have a very slow projectile velocity. So your pips on the default loadout are very far apart, and it's hard to hit with both sets of weapons at once. So what I would do is probably swap those out for the Revenant ballistic Gatlings if you want to maintain the loadout, a similar loadout to stock, to where it's a mixed loadout. If you want a mono boat, you can go, I would say, maybe go all cannons or all repeaters, depending on your preference there. But note that you will have a very low capacitor quantity because of the amount of power those weapons draw. Now, components-wise, again, this is very similar to the F7A Mark II. It has a size 2 power plant, just like the F7A Mark II, which is an upgrade from the F7C Mark I, which only has a size 1 power plant. Other than that, it has the same shields as all the other ships, all the other Hornets. Same shield sizes, same cooler sizes, etc. Same quantum drive, I believe the same fuel capacity, all of that. But yeah, that is my quick look at the F7A Mark I. And I just want to thank CIG for finally giving us our ship. Was it worth the wait? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. To have something this unique is definitely worth it, in my opinion. So, anyway, until next time, this has been Buzzkiller, and I'll see you in the verse.